Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
What's up, everybody? We have our weekly Coffee with Cage episode today, so I hope you guys are excited as we are for that segment. We know it's one of your guys' favorites, and we got some really good questions today. Cage, what's going on with your Charlotte Hornets? Let's start with that.
We talk about like Gemini players, Gemini teams. That's definitely one of them, right?
I don't even use the word Gemini in my vocabulary.
Well, you should. You should.
Is that because you're a Gemini? No, you're a Libra.
Correct. Yeah, exact opposite.
Not too high, not too low.
Right, balanced. But no, I mean they're a team that I guess have shown any night they could go out there and beat anybody. The Nets are kind of like that, right? They came out like a house on fire and they won first two games by 25 points, and then they seem to be very, very beatable in certain nights. So it's odd. It's very odd. I mean, what that tells me is they have the talent, right? But they maybe they don't have the coaching. Maybe it's just a symptom of being so young. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it's not a team that I'm going to be betting any money on because you never know what you're going to get. Kind of like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates.
And there it is. Well, welcome back to another episode of Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. And Cage, one of our audience members, on the younger side, he needs some help. And this is the question I want to start off with, okay? Yep. And I'm going to give you a specific card, but try to add a little color, a little strategy as to how you'd figure this out. So Zcam Breaks asks, how much is a Mosaic Gold Wave Zion worth? There's no comps out there, so I'm struggling to price that card.
Okay, so I mean, what you have to do with something like that, it's like pricing out any other card, right? Is if you're talking about a Mosaic, not the debut, just the regular one, I would see whether or not there are any Ja versions that have priced. If there aren't Ja, go to like the next level, try to find a Tyler Hero. You're looking for comps. Think of it almost like a house. No two houses are exactly the same, but you can get a similar price for a house in the same neighborhood, same zip code, same school district with the same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms. Maybe your Zion is the price of a Ja Morant, but add the pool and an extra bedroom and a bathroom. You know what I mean? So what I would do then is I would see if you find a Ja, and let's just say the Ja sold for I don't know, call it $4,500 exactly, and you go look, and the silver Ja is $450, and the silver Zion is $650. Well, then extrapolate that same ratio out. Your Zion should be $6,500. That's kind of the way you have to do it. Obviously, cards like that, the market is going to dictate what it sells for. You got to find somebody who's a buyer for it. And just because there is a Ja buyer who's willing to pay $4,500 doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a Zion buyer willing to pay $6,500. But yeah, that's how I would go about doing it. But I'd keep in mind something I learned from my co-host here about liquidity and uncertainty. Right, one of the things we talk about when I say to him, I'm going to bounce something off of you. What do you think about me buying this card for this price? And you're like, well, it's uncertain. Some of these non-numbered, the base, the silver, even some of the numbers like the blues and the reds out of 99, 199, they sell often enough that you can have some certainty and know what you should be getting for that card. A card like this Zion Gold, where there's 10 of them. I mean, you have it, but you can't really be certain about what the value is on that card. So
you could also post it on eBay for an insanely high price and best offer, field offers, and you could get a little bit of a pulse on the market where people are comfortable offering too, just to feel that out. Cage, how do you decide if you're going to grade a card like that? He asks.
So if
he's never graded a card before either.
A card out of 10, I would probably grade if it's a good enough shape. I mean, all things being equal on it, I would probably grade a card like that because you can set yours apart from the other 9 that are out there, and yours could be worth a premium. Right now, of the 10s, probably number 1 of 10 is the most desirable, right? I mean, what number is Zion wear?
0.
So he wears 0. There's not going to be a 0 of 10. So he's 1 exactly. Yeah. So number 1 of 10 is going to be the one that's going to be the one that's the most valuable one. But if you're the only one with a PSA 10, or there are two PSA 10s, those become the more desirable ones. So a card like that graded. I've never been a fan of grading one of ones, just because I don't think it creates any additional scarcity. But some people do it. They like to have it in a holder. But out of 10, I would grade if it's definitely gradable.
Love it. And we can help you with that too. I wanted to start with that question, and we're going to also answer your DM offline. Cage, social card work asks, thoughts on NBA Top Shot? Do you know what that is?
On what? NBA Top Shot?
Yes.
No, I don't know what it is. What's NBA Top Shot?
He'll clarify. He's in one of our groups, so we'll respond back. Drake asks, with MJ 90s inserts and non-RCs continuing to set all-time highs, do you see the same thing happening in the future on non-rookie cards and inserts with guys like LeBron and Kobe?
I'm looking up NBA Top Shot because I feel bad that I don't know what answer that's being asked. It looks like it's a digital card. Start collecting, win big. A new generation of fandom. Join our community of NBA diehards owning moments, revolutionary collectibles featuring the best NBA highlights. So it sounds like an exclusive, I don't know, online only type of thing, where it doesn't, I guess it's not your card, right? It's just like an online collectible. I got to tell you, I don't know much about it. I'll research it. I know Panini has this app that they do. What is it? Panini Dunk app. And my son definitely collects a million cards. But at the end of the week, he shows me all the cards he gets. And then he ends it the same way every time. And he's like, wouldn't it be great if all these cards just showed up in the mail? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it would be nice to have 117 Zion rookie autos. Sure. Yeah, that would be very nice. You can go to whatever college you want, pal. So I don't know how that translates over into like an actual collectible, with the buying and selling and stuff like that. But I guess I'll do a little more research on it because I don't like being asked a question I don't know the answer to. But
that's all right. That's all right. Well, let me jump in there. So you think when Ian goes to college, you're going to send him to college? You think colleges are even going to be around at that point?
Yeah, I think they'll be around, but I don't know whether or not we're going to send him to one. I'm hoping his rich Uncle Andrew just, gives him a job somewhere in Mexico, and then he'll be fine. He wants to go to college.
Work is remote these days, so he could work from New York, Mexico, Puerto Rico, California, Idaho, wherever he wants.
Happy to hear you say work is remote instead of what I thought you were going to say, which is work is a waste.
No, we work really hard. Okay, who works harder than us? No way.
Who works harder than us?
Work is not a waste. Is that what you're teaching the kids? No way.
Let's see. Who works harder than us? This is a difficult question. I'm going to say the public school lunch lady in charge of making the sloppy Joe. She definitely works hard. That's a job I don't want. Let's see what else. Who else works harder than us?
It's a tongue-in-cheek comment. I understand there's people that work much harder than us.
Well, listen, you gotta have some fun with this. But yes, to your point, I don't know whether or not I'll send them to college. If you ask me right now, if I had the money laying in front of me here and said there's $250,000 to send him to college, or $250,000 to maybe start a business for him and something that he might want to do, I think I probably would choose the latter. But we'll see. We'll see what he wants to do. Long way away.
Drake's PC asks, with MJ 90s inserts and non-rookie cards, non-RCs, continuing to set all-time highs, do you see the same thing happening in the future on non-rookie cards and inserts with guys like LeBron and Kobe?
Maybe. It depends on the demand, right? So the demand for Jordan is like nothing else in the world, right? Not just for his rookie card, but the Asian markets, we hear it all the time that they are just rabid MJ collectors, from precious metal gems to basically anything Jordan, stickers, you name it. Now, I know they're Kobe, and I think some of the Kobe stuff has started to move as well. You see like a jambalaya inserts in the 90s, and the Noise Boys stuff with Jordan's in, but other people are in it also. I don't know whether or not it's going to happen. It really is a demand thing, right? And I think it's probably a safe bet, Drake, to say that, yes, it will happen. And here's why, right? There was a huge influx of demand that came in to buy basketball cards this year, right? And they all came into LeBron. And the LeBron rookie got really expensive. And what did everybody do? everybody went after the PSA 10 of him in his first Laker uniform. For a while there, what was there was like an optic parallel with him holding the trophy that in PSA 10 was, it was like a $2 card, but in PSA 10 it was selling for over $100. So yes,
or the optic from like 2017 with Kobe in the background too.
That 2016. Yeah. I remember Ian had to have that one, and we bought it in Amelia Pop's Madness for $300, and it's worth half now. Yes, I know exactly the card you're talking about. Sometimes we lose money too over here, but he still has the cards, so he likes it because it has Kobe and LeBron.
You don't lose money till you sell, right, Cage?
That's what Warren Buffett says. That's 100% right. So, but it's lost its potential value, let's say. So, but we've already seen some evidence that that's what the demand will do, right? People will gravitate towards those cards. And, if the LeBron Chrome is a $25,000 card, not everybody's going to be able to go to that. That leaves open inserts. It leaves open second-year cards. It leaves open other iconic cards that demand will go to. The 2012 Prism of LeBron was a card that people went and gravitated towards, and people drove the price up on. So, the
Anthony Ronaldo brought up also an interesting iconic card, right, with him, Melo, and Dwayne Wade. That's an iconic
that Matrix card, right? That Matrix, the three panel card.
Trio.
That's
trio
that's a cool
card. Yep. Fleer Trio from 2013. I guess that is a rookie card though.
Yep, another cool card though.
Sportrepreneur asks, Steve, would you invest in Muhammad Ali or Pele? Pick one and why. Thanks, guys. I learned so much with your show, and especially with the Coffee and Cage episodes.
Wow. Thanks, Steve. Steve, so I hope you're enjoying your trip to Arlington National Cemetery right now, Steve. Steve's a service member and sent over some pictures of Arlington Cemetery with the Washington Monument in the background. Pretty cool stuff. And, I've been there a few times. If you take a look, if you ever get a chance to go there, the change of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is a pretty cool thing. Any American who has the ability to go see that should see it at least once in their life. So, Steve, to answer your question, it's funny that you picked these two guys.
Steve is someone from Luca Nation I'd love to meet. I feel like he's got just the coolest story. And every once in a while, he just drops in these pictures of him traveling the world. And one he dropped in from him and the boys, I think it was in Thailand, like 26 years ago. So I'd love to hear Steve's story one day.
Drinking beers and it looks like they were either playing cards or going over baseball cards. I think packs of tops in his pocket or something from the 70s. But it's funny that these are the two we get picked because I compare these two all the time as hobby anomalies. And here's why, right? So if it's tough to pick one of the two of them. I have not invested in either. I actually sold my Pele card, and here's why. I love Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan has an 86 Fleer rookie card. I love Joe Montana because Joe Montana has a 1981 Topps rookie card, even though he was a rookie in 1979. I love the Jerry Rice 86 Fleer rookie. I love people who have an iconic rookie card, one that stands out as the card of that person. Now, baseball cards were huge in the 80s. They were huge in the 70s, huge in the 50s and on up. But the other sports, they didn't have a Topps. They kind of did. They had a Topps football. They had basketball. They had Fleer. I mean, you see, like Bill Russell has the 57 card. Wilt Chamberlain has the 61 Fleer card. So beyond that, though, into soccer and boxing, the other fringes, you even see it with pro wrestling, right? What's Andre the Giant's best rookie card? I mean, what's tough about Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali? If a man wants to be called Muhammad Ali, it's a free country. You know what movie this is from. So in any event, Clay and Pele, they suffer the same fate, which is there are a lot of releases that have them. And if you type into Google right now, what's Cassius Clay's rookie card? What's Pele's rookie card? You will find pages upon pages of articles where people argue over what the, quote, best or rookie card of each one of them are, because some of them aren't exactly cards. Some of them are postcards. Some of them are like the Pele card that I had was, I didn't realize how small it was till I had it in my hand. And it was like, 1 inch by 1.5 inches. It looked more like a stamp almost than a sports card. That Alif Fallow Bug J. There's a Quigol. There's Panini ones. There's Panini ones of both Pele and of Cassius Clay. There's just so many different variants of these guys. I don't even know how to say these things. But and the different years.
I don't know what those sounds that you just made were.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. There's a Bancroft Tiddler. There's a Hemich Journal.
What are you doing right now?
I'm telling you, that's what these are for Cassius Clay. Hemich Journal. It's like a Swedish record is one, and these are ones that they're cut out of magazines. They're cut out of out of pages. So it makes it tough to collect those two guys. I mean, obviously they're iconic people. I mean, those are goats of goats, right? But I don't know what's going to be the card, if any, that becomes the go-to of either of those guys. So I've chosen to collect neither, because I don't want to invest, thousands of dollars into the Muhammad Ali. It's Cassius Clay at the time. These rookie cards. I don't want to invest money into the Cassius Clay Swedish record rookie when all of a sudden the money is going to flow into the Cassius Clay, the I don't know, the Bancroft Tiddler or the Panini one, or I don't know.
You don't want to be right about the player, wrong about the card.
Correct. I mean, that's really what it is, right? I mean, and if you want to make it a more realistic thing for our listeners, there are people out there who come to us with the same question all the time. It's, Prism's too expensive and I don't like it. It's ugly. So I want to invest in Select, and Select is one day going to be thought of as the better card. Okay, well, you could put your money in that, and you might be right, and it might pay off, but also you might be wrong. And just the question in and of itself leads to me being worried about investing in a lot of these current guys. So
it makes a ton of sense to me. The special thing about investing in sports cards is you have to be right not only about the player, but also about the card. And that does make it a little bit more difficult, right? So as often as possible in experiments, you want to eliminate variables, right?
Yep.
When there's so many variables like this, one, you need demand to flow to Muhammad Ali and Pele, which, you're making the assumption that it will, but you need one thing to go right. And then you also have to be right about the direction that demand flows when it comes to the cards. So that's a great analysis, Gage.
Thank you.
Matt?
Well, so I didn't exactly answer, but I mean, if I had to pick one of the two, I'm going to say Cassius Clay. If I had to buy a card of the Pele and Cassius Clay, I'm going to say Cassius Clay, only because
Muhammad Ali, actually.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali. He is just, I mean, that's an iconic player. You know what I mean? He just is. And Pele's iconic also, but I just think of all athletes, Clay is on his own level. Muhammad Ali's on his own level. I mean, there've been more movies made about him, more athletes, emulate him, talk about him, put him up on a pedestal as legitimately the greatest. I mean, that's his nickname, right? I am the greatest. That's him. So, you talk about GOAT conversations. I consider him like the GOAT of all GOATs. So between the two, I'm going Clay. I'm going Muhammad Ali. Okay.
Matt Van asks, what determines a baseball player's official rookie card? Topps updates versus Chrome, Series 2, etc.
That's a great question, and it has gotten more difficult to define this over time, right? So I would say the definition of a within sports, right? A rookie card is a card that's the first one to feature an athlete after that athlete has participated in the highest level of competition within their sport.
Are you reading a definition of Google?
I'm reading the definition of that card. Yes, exactly. But then there is a Beckett definition, which I know people don't care for Beckett anymore, right? But a Beckett definition of a rookie card, the RC, states a rookie card must come from a fully licensed, both MLB, MLBPA, nationally distributed set that is primarily focused on current major leaguers. It must be a base card and cannot be an insert, parallel, or redemption card. A player may only have one rookie per set. If he has more than one base card in the same set, then the rookie card tag is given to the regular card, as the other one will most likely be considered a subset. If a player has more than one base set card in the same set, but the two cards are produced in different quantities, the more common card is given the rookie card label. Funny, right? So not like the SSP card or any of those. Many of the cards produced by like sets like Classic or Draft Picks, these are going to be considered XRCs. So what's funny is you got to combine those two, right? Because it's not just his appearance in a distributed set, but it's the first appearance in a set after they've already played in the majors, right? So with the advent of a million different types of sets, all of these things are, quote, rookie cards. I would say, so it's funny, when I was in UFC cards back in 09, there was one set that came out. And then later in the year, 09, there was another set that came out. It was round 2, right? That was what they called it. So UFC round 1 and then UFC round 2. And round 1 was the first set. It was like the 86 Fleer kind of, you know? So Anderson Silva had a card in it. Royce Gracie had a card in it. And these guys had autographs in it. And then round 2 came out also in 2009. And it had a Royce Gracie card. And it had a George St. Pierre. And it had all these guys. But we didn't consider it a rookie card because it was the second card that came out. It was a later release. Even though they both came out in 2009. Using baseball rules, you would probably say both of those are rookie cards now because they're both the same year. They're just different releases. They're just different sets. You know, is the looking at basketball now, right? Nobody would argue that the Zion Mosaic or the Zion Optic or the Zion Clearly Donruss is not a rookie card because it came out after his Prism card, right?
Huh?
Everybody would concede that that's a rookie. But there are some people who would say their rookie card is the first card that came out. And that's because purists know used to just be one set. You know, you wanted a Joe Montana, you had an 81 tops or an 82 tops. So it was easy to say which one was his rookie. It was the one that came out first. This year, rookies are, I guess you can call it anything that comes out that year. You know, even though there are 25 different releases, each one of those releases is a rookie card. And the question's great, right? Because it gets you thinking about the long-term sustainability of the pricing of these collectibles because there's just so many damn cards. It's a question that would never even have come up, you know, a bunch of years ago.
Well, let me piggyback on that because Laboom James actually responded, and we love when this happens, right? Someone asked a question, and then someone actually came in, and he wanted to piggyback on that, and he said, what about Bowmans? You know, which Bowmans are the cards to target? Is it the Chrome or the paper first?
Well, card to target, right, is so let me unwrap this. There's like 3 questions in there, and there's something I've actually been thinking about myself, and I'll throw it out there. And it's going to be bad for my own fiscal interest, but I do want to make sure that I share this with people. It's my own current mindset, right? So let's get into it. So Bowman. When Bowman comes out, 2020 Bowman just came out, and Lewis Robert is in that. That's his rookie card, right? Even though it's not his first Bowman card. He played in 2020. It's got the RC logo on it, and that is a rookie card, just like his 2020 Topps card is his rookie card. Now, if you want, at least in today's day and age, today's collectible, if you want his more collectible and more sought-after auto, you'll find his Bowman First autograph card. Okay, the Bowman First with the first on it with an autograph on it. That's going to most likely going to be more collectible over time than the Topps rookie auto, but vice versa applies for the non-autograph card. The Bowman First card is not a rookie card because it came out before he ever played in the majors. There are people who have Bowman First cards who never made it to the majors. What people want is a quote rookie card, like his Topps rookie card that came out in the year or the year after, or it came out after, like Yordan Alvarez, it actually came out the year after he got into the majors because Topps was playing games. They want a Topps rookie card as a collectible. Now, here's where I'm going to piggyback. What's the one we should go after? Was what it looks like Laboom is putting in there, right? So I've actually been thinking about this a lot, and I may change my own strategy, right? This is a personal preference question. We've had this a bunch of times, but I'm going to use Tatis because you guys know I have 1 million Tatis paper rookie cards in PSA 10, over 100 of them, right? And I've been buying them, and I'll continue to buy more, and I'm buying them now again leading up to this coming season because I think in February and March they're going to be significantly more than they are even now. I love
Jordan,
the paper ones.
at this moment, insert like a volcano boom flex moment.
Whatever it is. But it's not a flex. So here's the opposite of a flex. I have over 100
Tatis PSA 10.
Yeah, but it's the opposite of a flex, right? So here's a statement against interest. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about this because there's Topps paper and there's Topps chrome, right? And in baseball, they're similar priced products. When the release comes out, they're similar priced, right? And even the individual cards themselves are similar priced. I always went for the paper card because I think the paper card is harder to get a 10, right? So I think for long-term, investability, I think that's better to have a 10 in that because it's harder to grade in 10 than the chromes are. The chromes are a thicker stock card. They don't chip as easily, but they do have some surface issues. But I always went for the paper card thinking that came out first. That's the rookie, you name it. But here's my dilemma. I think that the baseball collectors, they're going to be people who are moving over from football and from basketball, right? And if you are a basketball collector and you are a LeBron James collector, right? And you were collecting LeBron James or you're buying LeBron James now, you look at Topps and you think of the Topps paper as the inferior card. You look at Kobe from the 90s, you look at LeBron from 2003, and you say, which card do I want? Do I want the Topps base in PSA 10 or do I want the Topps chrome base in PSA 10? Everybody who collects wants the chrome because it was a completely different thing then. It was different price. It was a significantly, rarer card, you name it. But I don't want to say I'm fearful, but my thought is that if baseball picks up because the basketball and football money rolls into it, the same thing applies for like Bowman Chrome. If you're a Tom Brady guy in football, or the Topps Randy Moss rookies, or Peyton Manning rookies, you'd rather have the chrome rather than the Topps paper. It's just the way that it is. That's the way Topps was. In baseball right now, it's not the same way, but I have a feeling, and like I said, I don't have the Topps chrome. I just bought a bunch of the Topps paper Tatis. I have a feeling if baseball gets the basketball and football investors in, and I think it's going to. I think somebody like Tatis and Soto and Acuna and Lewis Robert and just the names that are in it now are going to bring that money over. I think you're going to see the chrome separate itself from the paper, just because that's the history. That's the way that the other sports were. So that's my answer to your question. My personal preference has always been paper. But I have a feeling that the money coming in is going to start to drive the chrome prices and separate chrome from paper, and you're going to start to see a premium put on the chrome over the paper. Just something I've been thinking about.
I love it. And guys, let's do a quick timeline, right? Right after COVID, there was a slight dip, and then the hobby exploded. In February, actually, of 2020 is when the explosion started. But right after COVID, okay. Baseball started right around July, August, right, Cage? Who did it have in competition with it? It had NBA bubble, who everyone was super excited about, whether they were watching it, talking about it, or whatever. Football coming up, preseason, all the talk was NFL. Baseball had this huge competition, and don't even get me started on Pokemon and all those cards. This year is going to be unique. Like we said, the hobby is, whether it's first quarter, second quarter, it's up to you to decide, but it's still growing. And baseball this year isn't going to have the same competition it did last season. And I think when someone comes into the hobby and looks at the Topps chrome or the Topps paper, knowing how good this young star is at $200-300, and they see a Luka Prism PSA 10 at $2,000, I could see baseball having its run up this year. I really can.
Well, you know what? It plays well in the new economy of cards, right? So I love StarStock, and I hope you guys listened. And we have a couple of users who were obviously one of the first ones to listen to our episode last night and bought into our Alexander Madison play and the Ty Johnson play. People have sent us pictures, of they bought this and here's 19 sales, a couple hours after, and they're not making a killing. You make a couple bucks per card or whatever it is, but they bought them and they sold them higher because now people are waking up and seeing that those are the guys, Ty Johnson and Alexander Madison, are going to start tomorrow.
Alexander Graham Bell starting tomorrow.
Alexander Hamilton, a Ham. So no, the point I'm making there is StarStock and that type of an entrance into our hobby. It works really well with baseball. Baseball as a daily fantasy play, it's like basketball where they're playing every day, unlike football where they're playing once a week. It works with a StarStock. And I think you're right. I think people are going to look at it and say, all right, let's go. Who's playing today? Who's my sleeper today? Who's getting called up? what rookie's coming up, who's going to be coming up in the middle of the year. I'm going to stash them now in my collection. And I think that, a StarStock entry into the market, and the comparisons between fantasy sports and card collecting are really going to drive baseball prices this coming year. We'll see if I'm right, but as baseball goes on in the towards the end of the summer and basketball is done, when baseball is the only game in town and it's an everyday sport, that's where people in cards are going to be looking at and making their daily plays. So I can't wait for that to happen. You're right. With COVID and with the schedule this year, baseball had a whole bunch of competition. So
you do put a bow on things. Cage, you do a good job. You take my ideas and you wrap them up so they're presentable, and I appreciate that. That's why I have this question ready for you. And guys, we might end this episode right here because who knows how long it's going to take him to move on from this. But Lad87 asks, when do you decide to take money out of your card funds and put it towards something else?
Never. Money out of my card. Never money out of my card funds, put it towards something else. So I had this conversation with a big investor recently, and he was looking to buy a card, and I'm going to flip it in 3 months, and here's how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to make 15%. And should I do it for that much of a risk? And I said, all right, well, you tell me what stock you're buying. You tell me what you're putting your money into right now. Then in 3 months, you're getting 15% on. Now Andrew's jumping out of his seat to say Bitcoin. But I don't know if I'm buying Bitcoin at 33 right now, after the huge run-up that it's had. To me, cards are early. I mean, look what Gary Vee is saying here. I mean, you just got to be smart. You do your investment. You do your due diligence on this stuff. I think there's more money coming into cards than anything else right now. I mean, if you would have told me, and I knew this was happening, 2-3 years ago, but even I am shocked by the absorption rate. I would have been shocked if on January 1st, January 2nd of this past year, you would have told me that there'd be, news articles on CNBC, people coming out and doing pieces on this and saying that Pokemon, and I remember I was investing in Pokemon and sports cards are an alternate investment class listed on the same list as like Bitcoin and gold. Now, I thought of that, but people looked at me like I was a lunatic. Now that's something that's being accepted. And as more people see that, and realize that this is an alternate asset class, why would you take your money out of it? I would answer the question pretty straightforward, and it's I wouldn't take my money out of my cards unless and until I thought that there was something else I could invest in that would make more money for me. Right now, I don't see much out there that's making more money than cards if you're smart about where you're putting your money.
So a few topics there. I did call Bitcoin. I think a lot of people did. But I think of cards and Bitcoin actually in the exact same realm. Like you just mentioned, I think of them as alternate asset classes. And I would argue that my investment into Bitcoin was purely because of this fact that you just said. There's so much money coming into it. When there's so much money coming into something, the price increases. It's pretty basic, actually. And that's what you're seeing right now with Bitcoin. The run-up is because a lot of institutional and retail money simultaneously is entering the crypto market, specifically Bitcoin, because of a variety of reasons. One being it's a safe haven, people think, against inflation. There's a variety of reasons that money's coming in. I put all my money into an investment account, and I invest, whether it's sports cards or Bitcoin, that comes out of the same account. Now, let's keep rocking, Cage. From Dan Note, what is the least valuable PC item that you really cherish in your collection? Least valuable, but you cherish it, Cage. And you can't say me.
You're not the least valuable. You're like second or third least valuable. The least valuable item in my collection, but I cherish it. So
it's his Hitchimon and Chansey. He takes them,
No.
He puts them under his pillow, facing down on top of each other, and he goes to sleep.
So this may change, right? And it changes over time. But I'm going to say right now, I'm going to give you 2 cards. Both are pickups from the past year that are low value cards that anybody listening to this can go and pick one up.
No one cares about your Joe Biden Topps Chrome, please.
Yeah, no, but that's not it. So, and you guys will understand why. And you'll have your own one of these too. And there's a reason, right? So, I watched The Last Dance with Ian, my son. If anybody's first time listening, Ian's my son. I watched The Last Dance with him. And, I don't know whether he went off and did his own research on this. And it was before it was mentioned in The Last Dance, and really didn't play a prominent role in Last Dance. But he came over to me one day. I think we were like 2 episodes in, and he's like, "Hey, Daddy, what number was Michael Jordan?" And I said, "He was number 23." And he goes, "Yeah, but he wore other numbers." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. He wore number 45 when he came back, but he changed that." And he goes, "No, I was talking about when Michael Jordan wore number 12." And I said, "Ian, what the hell are you talking about? He never wore number 12. And if you go back, we did a whole episode on this. Did you know Michael Jordan wore number 12? And I gave this card as a play. It's a cool little like show off card. But I went out and I bought a PSA 10 of this. It's the 1990 Hoops Sam Vincent card. And in it, Michael Jordan's in the background playing defense, and he's there wearing number 12. And I didn't even know the story. And this game happened when I was, I was a kid. I was a Knick fan, not really a Jordan fan at the time, but it's something that I should have remembered. He didn't have his jersey, and they gave him another jersey, gave him number 12 for one game, and it happened to be that the Hoops photographer was there and snapped a picture of Sam Vincent, and Michael Jordan's in the background, and there you go, memorialized forever as Michael Jordan wearing number 12. And I didn't even know this story, and I definitely didn't know about the card until my son told me, hey, check this out, number 12. So that's a cool little piece. And the second one, and that's a COVID story, and that's a 2020 kind of silver lining, around this crazy year. And the second one's the same kind of thing. After watching Last Dance and watching Bo Jackson, we watched a lot of sports documentaries, my son and I. And one that I had him watch was Christian Laettner. Everybody hates Christian Laettner from Duke. And, we bought, and we're building this, although we kind of lost momentum on it. We bought a 1992 Skybox Olympic Dream Team Christian Laettner card. Then we were able to talk about the Dream Team and the Barcelona. We watched some specials about that too. So, those are cards that I'm never going to sell. I mean, they're not worth a ton anyway. I think we got the Laettner for like $18. But they're cool things that have stories attached to them, a little father-son fun. And, hopefully they'll be part of his collection for a while. And, I remember watching TV and watching documentaries and stuff with me one day. So that's it. A little sappy, but those are some of my collection pieces. As far as like memorabilia, we have a baseball. So I have a lot of cool signed memorabilia, just Yankee stuff. We do a little Yankee stuff, but I have a ball that's got a little grass stain on it, and it's not signed by anyone. Although one day I'll try to get it signed, but I got a ball that's all grass stained, and it's a cherished piece. It's probably worth like $3. But we were at a Yankee game, and Brett Gardner caught a ball in the outfield and was running off the field and tossed it to Ian. So a ball that was in play in a Yankee game, he kind of ran off the field and tossed it over to Ian. So we kept that. So that's a cool one too.
All right. Ryan Bitter asks, what do you think of PSA registry sets? Do you think that if the institutional money and funds acquire many of the high-end cards, the next logical step would be to go after scarcity of completed sets? Wouldn't that be the ultimate flex?
So Ryan, I love the question, and I love it because I've given it a lot of thought myself, right? So I'll go right to my own collection because that gives me some ability to kind of like, talk about this. And we'll see how we come down on the answer. But, I've seen the rise of the Charizard PSA 10 price. And, you could have got that card last year, the year before last, now that it's a new year, but you could have got that card in late 2019 for $35,000, $45,000. It started moving, in the beginning of the year it was probably 65, 70, 75, but there were, plenty of them on eBay, and you could have bought them, hit by it now. And the most recent one, I think, is over $350,000. And the other cards have moved, but the Charizard has gone from being approximately a third of the set value to approximately a half of the set value. Last rally, I think, if you look at the PWCC set value of it, I think the set value is just over $650,000, with the Zard being more than 50% of it now. There are 120 of those Zards out there. So that's a flex, right? There are, 10 dozen people who are able to say, look at me, I have the Zard. But if you look at the PSA set registry, based on what you're talking about in your question, last time I looked, there were 11 or 12 complete sets of that Wizards of the Coast 1999 Pokemon set. And I think there's probably less now because 2 of them were broken up and sold in the last 2 months of PWCC auctions. So I think you're probably right. And the way to go about this is, that these institutional investors, the big money coming in, yeah, you can get a Zard, right? But the bigger flex is going to be having that whole set because there's less people out there. And you're probably right. The big money would be, all right, it's one thing to say, hey, look, I'm gonna go to Collectibles app or the Rally app or whatever it is and auction off one of the 120 Zard PSA 10s. But isn't it cooler to say we're auctioning off one of the 10 or 11 complete sets that has that Zard in it? And the way to play that is start buying some of the other low pop cards in that set. You see the same thing happen with the 86 Fleer basketball set, where, you know, guys like Johnny Moore or the checklist card are expensive, even though no one knows who the hell Johnny Moore is. There's just so few of them that you know it's basically a 5-figure card because people are trying to build the set and have to have that card to build it.
Love it. I'm gonna say it the way I think. Boink Sports Cards or Boink Cards ask.
I like
it. What is the significance of market cap and how should that play a role in your buying?
I should let Andrew answer this. And you know, here's the deal, right? So market cap.
This is coffee with Cage, not kombucha with Andrew. That's going to be in 2021. Stay tuned.
There's nothing wrong with putting as many data points into your due diligence as possible, right? But I think at some point you get a little bit of the old analysis paralysis, right? And market cap, I guess, is important, and people have really started to bring it into play. To me, what I look at is supply, demand. People will tell me market cap is just an equation of supply and demand, right? It's just a mathematical tally of it. I like to look at two things. The PSA pop report, how many of them are out there, and then real supply, which is go on eBay and see how many of them are for sale and at what price, right? So that's the part that market cap doesn't tell you. It tells you about like how many of them have sold, how many of them are out there, you name it. But there's a difference in reality between actual demand, actual supply, and perceived demand, perceived supply, right? So you could have the market cap of a card and it tells you, all right, there's 10,000 of these cards, and they're at $10 each. So it's $100,000 market cap. But when you go on eBay, you don't find any of them at $10 each. You find 4 or 5 of them, not 1,000 of them. Same thing. There might be another one's got the same market cap at $20 a card, half as much, same total market cap. But you go on eBay and there's 500 of the card available at $20. The market cap research would tell you those cards are equal investments. One of them's got half the amount, half the supply, and it's cost twice as much money. To look at those as equal investments, but to me, they're not equal investments. You got to go one step further. Market cap doesn't tell you the whole deal. You got to know what the actual demand is for the card. Look at how many of them have been sold. Look at the liquidity of it, and look at how many of them are actually out there, right? So that's, to me, you know, part of the deal, right? Market cap's a fun way of tallying everything up. Personally, it's not something that I hang my hat on. I like to look at, like, you know, real sales data. 130 points a real good one too.
Cage, GTSM.High asked, what was sports card collecting like from 2005 to 2015? Did we see big market swings?
No, it was almost dead. There was nowhere near as many people in the hobby as there are now. You know, and it's weird too, because there were as many names. You know, I mean, Jordan had just left, but LeBron was in his prime. And you still had Kobe playing. You know, you had all these stars in the game: Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. You know, and we're talking about basketball there. Baseball, same kind of deal. I mean, you had all these guys, you know, who were studs playing. Griffey was just retiring, but you know, Jeter, A-Rod, all these guys playing in their primes. Collective sports cards just weren't a thing. They were not a thing. I mean, nostalgia brought him back. Gary Vee brought him back. You know, I can't tell you what the magic secret, you know, sauce was that brought stuff back. A lot of it is the scarcity of cards. I will tell you, you know, I collected a lot of UFC cards in that window, 09 to 13, let's say, 09 to 15. And I just moved on from them because I didn't realize that this was going to happen. I realized that we were going to have the explosion that we were going to have 5 years after I moved on from these cards. I wish I would have held a whole bunch more of my Conor McGregor stuff, because it seems like that might be an area where people are going to start to exploit now. But yeah, it didn't have the market swings that we have now, but there's a reason for it, right? In 2005, you couldn't go on Twitter and find the Twitter stack sales. You couldn't go on Instagram and find millions of pages with people flexing their cards. You also didn't have breakers going crazy and breaking product the way that it is now. It's a very difficult comparison. The hobby has grown and grown up in leaps and bounds just in the last couple of years, let alone from a decade ago.
Love it. Many believe the hobby bubble will burst in the future. Do you think once attendance for live events resumes, it will help stimulate the hobby even more?
So I've heard two answers for this. I've heard that there are people out there who think that that part of the growth in the hobby, part of the reason why cards have gone crazy the way they are, is because we're all stuck home doing nothing but watching sports, and that we're not we're not going on vacation. We have nothing else to spend our stimulus checks on. We're not doing anything. We're home doing our stuff. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that there is a bubble that's bursting. Sure, people are going to find other things to spend their money on when they get out there and do their stuff, but I think that the hobby has almost become like an Amazon type of a different economy, right? That side hustle for a lot of people, right? So does everybody think that Amazon's going to pop when we can finally go out and spend our money somewhere else? Does everybody think that we're just going to go back to the way that it was and lose that convenience and lose that fun and and everybody's going to stop using Amazon? I don't personally think that's going to happen. I think that there's a silver lining to most clouds, and I think that the silver lining to this one is people realize now that this is a viable way of expanding their love for sport. I'll go back to the quote, one of my favorites of the year of Adam Lefkoe. Right, sports cards is a way for me to say this is my guy. Everybody was already doing it with sports betting, right? Everybody was already doing it with fantasy. This is just an extension of that. And I don't think us being outside changes that at all. The question is, going to live sports, does it impact it? I think once the live sports open back up, you're going to see more on-site betting. You're going to see FanDuel lounges. You're going to see, BetMGM lounge. You're going to see, sponsorships for teams by sports betting. And in the states where it's legal, you're going to be able to go to a game and bet on that game or games around the league. Not just in a casino, but at the stadium, right? I believe that is not that far off in states where it's legal. And I'm going to go one step further. I will bet you also that right next to that betting room, that lounge that they have, where you can place your bets, there will be vending machines with sports cards in them, or a booth with somebody selling sports cards of that team. If it's Giant Stadium, because betting is legal in New Jersey, you can buy your packs of cards or buy your Saquon Barkley rookie card right there in the stadium. And next to the BetMGM lounge, maybe there's going to be a StarStock lounge, where you can go and do the same kind of thing you're doing with sports betting, but with cards. That's just me. I think it's really good. I think they go hand in hand with that. I was one of the fearful guys in the beginning of this year. Anybody who's in the group that I was in, with Gary V. I was one of the more, be careful guys. Don't throw your money around. This COVID stuff is it's for real, and be careful with your money. I now see so many people coming into the hobby, not just buying cards, but building the infrastructure. There's an Andrew word for you, to continue the expansion of the hobby. I use StarStock as an example, but there's a million of them, right? Our friends at Card Ladder, right? Cardboard Chronicles, Chris Hodge, Slab Stocks, the stores that used to just be brick and mortars, like our pal Mealy Pops down in Florida, who are now online, the millions of breakers who are out there. That stuff's just not going to go away. I think it's now, part of sport, and I think it's only going to get bigger.
The Boulevard of Card asks, thoughts on a player like Jaylen Brown? Good, but not top tier, plus a visible post-career. Plus he has, something, but some potential outside of sports, I think is what he means. What do you think of players like that? Like Jaylen Brown, good, but not a top tier player.
So I like Jaylen Brown, but he would not be a guy I'm investing in, putting the card in a safe and saying, I'm going to hang on to this and put it next to my LeBron and Michael Jordan and those guys. I just don't think he's built to be one of the greats of the game. I think he's a good player. And I think if you invested in him last year, I would probably sell him right now. He's somebody who is a day trader. He's somebody who is good for a season or maybe till next season. But he's not somebody that's going to be a great of the game. Now, and keep in mind, right, there are a lot of good players who you can make money on in the hobby right now, and Jaylen Brown's one of them. It's not just Jason Tatum on the Celtics. You know me, I'm a Marcus Smart fan. But here's the flip side, all right? Does anybody out there think that Jaylen Brown is going to be a top 50 or 75 NBA player of all time? I don't think so, right? And we've talked about this many times, right? I don't think he's going to be as good as Chris Bosh. And nobody cares about Chris Bosh's cards. Now, if Chris Bosh was playing today, people would care about his cards. People would be buying them up on StarStock, and people would be selling them, and he'd be all over eBay. People would be going crazy on his cards. But after he's finished, he just goes down as another really good player whom nobody cared about his cards. Now, that might change, right? I mean, maybe a smart play is go back and buy as many Chris Bosh cards as you can now, because when you compare them to today's day and age, you can get Bosh cards for cheaper than Keldon Johnson, who's played a grand total of 4 games where he started. So what does that tell you? So to answer, I like Jaylen Brown. I would buy his cards. I think he's probably undervalued, although he's had some really good games and his prices have kind of come up because of that. But he's not a guy that I would be holding long term.
StarStock is ahead of the hype. Who's a player on StarStock still at an affordable price to go after?
It depends, right? I mean, that really does depend, right? We gave a couple plays yesterday, and it depends what you want to do with StarStock, right? StarStock for me is a really cool fantasy extension for right now. StarStock is a place where if you start doing your research, a guy like Sadiq Bey, who we talked about in one of our groups, I give him as a pick to one of our groups because I don't think Blake Griffin can stay healthy. I don't think Detroit Pistons are going anywhere this year, and they've got 3 first-round picks in this past draft, including Sadiq Bey, who's a Villanova guy who's coached really well, and I think it's going to be the best rookie that they have. Killian Hayes is pretty good too. But I noticed, okay, it's only a matter of time before Griffin misses time with some sort of an injury, and Bey is going to be starting. And when all it takes sometimes is a little bit of an opportunity, we said go on there and buy your Sadiq Bey cards, and people did. And he went and he Griffin was out last night, and he started and he scored 17 points. He didn't play a huge amount of minutes, but as a starter, 17-7. And now people are looking for his cards on StarStock. That to me is what StarStock is all about. Do a little bit of research, find a guy like that, find guys like the NFL running backs that we talked about yesterday, Ty Johnson and Alexander Madison, and a million others, right? I mean, Mason Rudolph is starting for the Steelers, right? Isn't he? I think. So stuff like that, right? Guys who are going to get an opportunity to shine, but you are buying them ahead of the rush going for them. Keldon Johnson was a great example of that leading into this year. If you were a Spurs fan or somebody who was watching basketball and knew that he was going to get a shot to play this year, he's obviously capitalized on it. The guy scoring 20-plus points a game. That's why.
Last August, I brought you guys the Tyler Hero play. Prism, Silver, Hoops. That card went up 3x, but you had to pay taxes, you had to pay shipping. If I had an account on StarStock, then that would have been game over. But the point is, there's Tyler Heroes every single year. What was a Tyler Hero? A Tyler Hero was someone that checked all the boxes, that had potential, that had talent, that had swag, that had all of the X factors that people in the hobby love. And he was undervalued. He wasn't in culture. No one was talking about him because they're talking about Zion and John. There are players like that every single year. And that's why we talk about do your research and strategy and things like that. Because if you're looking where other people aren't, every once in a while, you're going to stumble upon a play that you can beat the market to. And I think that's what you're saying, Gage, right? You can 100%. Do that on a small scale or on a big scale.
100%. So, I mean, the other thing with StarStock, what I've noticed, and I mentioned that this morning to our group. So, hey, guys, and it's a good example. I'll talk about our groups. If you want to get into a Luca Nation group, we bring you plays every day. But on top of that, if you're in one of our Instagram groups, we're in there and we're talking about plays, and people are asking these kind of coffee with Cage questions to Andrew, myself, and to each other. And there's a lot of great dialogue in there about, hey, what about this guy? What did you see this guy play last night? Did you see James Wiseman fell and twisted his ankle? We're on there talking to each other during the games. I videotaped my TV so everybody could see Wiseman trip over his ankle when Steph Curry ran in front of him and sprained his ankle last night. This way, my guys who were on there knew about it ahead of time. So if you want to get in one of those groups, go ahead and message us. One of the things that we were talking about today on StarStock is right now people are running towards the base Prism cards, but they're leaving the other stuff on the table. So Ty Johnson, we gave that play last night, and people are waking up and realizing that he's going to be starting for the Jets tomorrow. And the only other time that he started this year was against the Raiders, and he had over 100 yards. The base Prism has gone up since last night, which people listened to us and went out and bought it. But what I've noticed is the parallels, the red, white, and blue, the green, the red, and his optic cards, which are cheaper, are now less money. The optic should be less money, but not significantly less. But those parallels, the red, white, and blue, you name it, they're actually cheaper than what the base cards go for, which is silly. That's just tunnel vision. That's everybody who heard this, or everybody's thinking, oh, wow, everybody who read an article and said Ty Johnson is going to be starting tomorrow, they ran and immediately looked for that Prism base card because that's the liquid one. But if the Prism base card is $5, the red, white, and blue shouldn't be free. The green or purple or whatever other parallels of these guys shouldn't be less. Same thing, Sadiq Bey, right? Everybody went, and he had a great game last night. He's had a couple good games this week. Everybody went and bought the base Prism. But now his Prism Draft Red Ice is less money than his Prism Draft base, which is silly. So that's a play on StarStock for you. It's not a player, but it's take advantage of the fact that people who are on there right now are all chasing one thing, and you have the ability to exploit that and get a better card than what everybody's running to buy, probably cheaper. So
I love it, Cage. I love it. Let's just quickly check what else we got here. Jordan asks, Cage, what goals or milestones are you looking to achieve in 2021 for the show and personally?
Wow. Well, listen, we hit a milestone yesterday on Instagram, which was great. I'm all about the small goals, pat on your back and say thank you. We hit 4,000 followers on Instagram on the 1st. So that was a nice goal. I set that one and we hit it. So I was pretty happy about that. Thank you to all 4,000 of you. I want to be able to put links in there. So I got to get to 10,000 soon. I don't know whether that's happening this year, but that would be a nice goal. If we get to 10,000 followers on Instagram, by January 1st of 2022, that'll be a cool goal. That way we can put a link in. You can just swipe up and see what picks we have for you. And you guys can get your, you can get your picks even quicker. Because that's really the deal, right? We're trying to give you guys some value that way. So 10,000 is too. I want to expand onto Twitter. If anybody out there has an idea of how to do that the right way, please let us know, message us. Want to get onto YouTube and put some quick videos of us out there. Jordan is doing a great job producing some really awesome videos. Love to be able to share those with people out on YouTube. We talk about StarStock a lot. We're gonna have Monday a StarStock episode for you guys. We entered into a strategic partnership with StarStock. And I'd love to see that grow. I'd love to see, everybody on there making plays, you name it. And I'd love to set a goal for ourselves and have like a little Luca Nation competition on there, Everybody start showing us your buys and your sells and where you are and that kind of stuff. And I'd love nothing more than to give away some of my cards. At some point in time, PSA is going to return some of my cards, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of cool stuff for giveaways. I just don't know when that's going to be.
I love it, guys. 2020 was a prequel. It really was, because we have a huge, huge mission. We want to help people with the education, the resources to become financially literate and financially independent, ultimately. And I think our specialty is alternate asset classes, sports cards being the cream of the crop. But we have a big vision. We really want to help people. We want to help people. If you start this year with $1,000, hopefully you could end the year with 20,000 under assets under management, something like that. So that's my vision, because I know it's transformed my life. And if we could do that for 1, 2, 100 people, I think that'd be unbelievable.
Yep. And small, right? Small goals, guys. Small goals. And StarStock's an easy way to do it. Put $100 in StarStock and have a goal that turn that 100 into 200 in a month.
Speaking of StarStock, there's a few more questions coming in here late. So SC Cards asks, my question is about NBA hoops. As Prism Optic and Select becomes more and more expensive, do you think it's a good investment, a good time to buy NBA hoops now?
I do. I like hoops because hoops was one of the brands that was out there when I was a kid. And, Skybox isn't there, but somebody should make that. Panini should bring Skybox back. Fleer was something, and Fleer's not there anymore. And Topps clearly is not there, but Hoops was when I was opening, Hoops was a card people went after. David Robinson Hoops rookie card was like a huge card. 1989 Hoops, 1990 Hoops. Those were big card sets. So it has some history to it. And look, one of the biggest complaints that I have is there are no cards for kids, right? You can't buy a box of cards for kids. I can't open a box.
Cage, you want to start a brand called Cards for Kids?
KARDS Cards for Kids. 1877 cards for kids. No, so but in all honesty, right?
You guys haven't noticed Cage shoots down all of my ideas.
Well, I will let you run with your idea if it's more than just, hey, you want to do that? And I say yes, and then I got to do it. So yes, I love every single one of your ideas. Put a business plan together and put them all together and bring it to me. Instead of just, hey, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Yes, every single one of your ideas is a good one. Let's just go buy some Bitcoin. So point being on hoops, I like it because I can open it. I can buy it. It is a price point that's accessible, right? And Andrew, you've given hoops as your play, right? I mean, you gave a hoops, Luca. You've given hoops as your play because they are one where first of all, if you buy them raw and you grade them, you're still making decent enough money on it. But I like it because if we take the kids out of the hobby, you take that father son out of the hobby, you take that that accessible pack out of the hobby, what's left? Just rich breakers who will be fast to move on to something else when there's more money to be made somewhere else. But I like hoops.
Last question from Scott DeFacel. It's not Scott DeFacelle, like I've been pronouncing it. He wants that to be clear. Scott DeFacel. There's been a lot of money coming into the hobby from Wall Street and large investors. What opportunities are you excited about? And let me read the last part again. What opportunities are you excited about? Scott, if you want me to pronounce your name right, you got to type right too, brother.
So I guess I'll just answer it the way it was asked, right? I mean, there is a lot of money coming in. What am I excited about? I'm excited. To me, institutional money coming in is something Andrew's mentioned a bunch of times. There's a difference between retail investors and what we do and institutional investors and what we do. And I'll use an Andrew Bitcoin analysis for you here, right? Because it really does apply. We're talking about alt investments, right? So Coinbase just IPO'd. And because of it, it lends credibility to the trading database and the ability to buy and sell that. PayPal's announcement that they're going to be doing Bitcoin. You see articles about NFL players, Russell Okung, who's going to take part of his salary in Bitcoin. What that does is twofold. Number one, it brings a retail investor into it who are going to put, $500 in a Coinbase account and maybe buy some Bitcoin with it because now they know they can do it and they know that it's got some real absorption. And it's got some, it's real. It's not just going away. And that $500 is not just writing a check to nobody, right? But at the same time, you also have some legitimate institutional investors putting hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin. Now, while the retail investor putting $500 in, if you add all of those families up, they'll move the needle. What really moves the needle is those institutional investors. Now, applying that rationale to what I say, the rising tide lifts all ships. And I say that with everything, guys. It really does. If you see people going out there, and every day Ken Golden comes on from Golden Auctions about a new record price of a new card. And it seems like every month these high-end grails are setting new records. Well, if the Jordan rookie 86 Fleer was a wow moment that when it hit $100,000 and everybody said, well, I guess the Hakeem Olajuwon and the Dominique Wilkins are cheap at $3,000. Charles Barkley's cheap at $3,000. So they raised the prices on those, and they went up to $7,500 to $8,000 each. Well, now Jordan's $200,000. So what's going to happen? Maybe the Olajuwon and the Barkley and the Ewing are all cheap, and maybe those are the next ones to follow. Now, I'm just using that set as an example. You can extrapolate that out to anything. Luke and Trey prices go up. Those bring the Tyler Hero and the Zion and the Ja and everybody else's prices up. But it starts off with those big grail, those high-end cards going up in value and setting the market. And what sets the market on those are the big money institutional investors who are coming in. People like the kid who bought the Giannis and the LeBron and is starting one of the many mutual funds of cards out there. Those are the kind of things that are going to raise all of the prices. So I'm excited about that. I definitely am, because, to me, if you see that kind of money coming in, it makes me breathe easier when I tell people I don't see it as a bubble that's about to burst, because there's too much of that institutional stuff in there for it to happen. That makes sense? Did I do a decent enough job of the Bitcoin stuff? I know that's your bailiwick, man. Is it all right?
Amazing. Every day I'm astounded at how talented a co-host I have. Luca Nation, we love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with that Sunday NFL preview, last week of the year.
Guys, if you have questions about that Bitcoin stuff, ask Andrew. He's a little shy, but he actually was on a Bitcoin desk, right? He actually worked at Bitcoin desk, right? Didn't you?
I did work on Bitcoin. The difficult thing with some of this stuff is how simple it can be. Like, there's not much to talk about. It was basically what I brought to you guys, what was it, 10 episodes ago, 12 episodes ago? I can't remember now, but it's just basic stuff. It's basic stuff. Inflation, quantitative easing, infrastructure. It's just the time right now. Would I buy at 33? I don't know. I don't know.
No, there you have it. I don't know, but the answer is yes. I love it.
Well, obviously, with each price change, you wonder, you start to ask questions. But I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Bitcoin and crypto for the next 1 to 2 years for sure.
I like it. Guys, I know it's a Saturday, and we hope you guys listen to this. Maybe we'll put it out, our normal time. Coffee with Cage is my favorite episode to do, guys. I appreciate it. We love all the questions. We love all the interaction. Keep them up, right? It doesn't just have to be for this. Send us a DM. Invite yourself into one of our groups. We're telling you to do it. Send us a message. We'll get you into a group, and we'll keep the conversation going and allow you to ask these Coffee with Cage questions any time of the week instead of just on these episodes. It is my favorite thing in the world to answer these, and we hope you're getting some value out of them. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Luca Nation.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.